major cause for climate change, they tell us. And the soil we have left, dead. Because the stuff we've been putting in, putting out, putting in, putting out, all oil-based. And the water is undrinkable, and the air is in trouble, and this is the world my generation is passing on you, and all I can say, really, from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. Something's really wrong. And then this is where it gets edgy for me. Because, you know, since I've been converted to the radical Jesus of the Gospels, since I've been converted to following this guy, not believing in him, creeds, teachings don't seem to do any good. In my church, I'm Catholic. And probably in your church, whether you're pro-life or pro-abortion, there'd be great moral clarity on the issue of birth control and the use of condoms. And my issue with my church and its clarity on the use of birth control and the use of condoms is that any church that has more moral clarity on the use of birth control and condoms than it does on the possession of thermonuclear weapons is seriously unbalanced. Being a Christian in this country is being seriously unbalanced, because the most important challenges that the historical Jesus and the people who followed him and the people who wrote what we call the New Testament, for them was, how do we follow this nonviolent Jew on a cross in the midst of the Roman Empire destroying the Jewish people? The whole of the New Testament written during the same time of the Jewish-Roman wars. You know, when they wrote the Old New Testament, those years they wrote them from like 45, I suppose, to 120, give or take a decade or two here. Those years, there's lots of evidence in archaeology of the Jewish people, and that the Romans destroyed their temple, and that they destroyed their populations in Egypt and in Asia Minor. I mean, the Roman Jewish wars were just a massacre of the Jews. That's the whole thing. They were rotting them out, getting them out. And that's when our New Testament was written. We have plenty of artifacts to prove that the Jews went through this stuff. You know what we don't have? One artifact from the New Testament Christian community. They didn't build temples or cathedrals. They went from house to house. They were a decentralized, radical group that was not even appreciated. The Jews didn't like them. You know why? When they say, are you going to fight for Israel? They're going to say, no, we're going to run away. We're not fighting for anybody. All right. So, all that being said, these are the questions. I've read them, but I don't know which order to answer them, so I'm going to pull one of these out, and I'll answer this first question. Okay, so, Eve Weaver. Is she here? Oh, Yvonne. E-V-A-M? Evan, sorry. All right, sorry. How do you deal with people who are both confrontational and acting on bad faith? Well, man, you just described the modern world. I mean, if there's no group of people acting on bad faith in the world more than us, will someone show us? Simply by being American. We're born into a country that has more faith in wealth and war and empire than it does on whatever religion you happen to be. Really, we destroy every religion. In America, though, the dominant religion is Christianity, so that's the one we destroy the most. Yeah, and what you do is you try to, I try to validate the Jesus I believe in. in the midst of a world that denies him. And the deniers are Christians. It's really crazy. Okay, that's out. All right, another question. Go ahead. All right. Oh, 19-year-old DMACC student, Serenity. Question, how many people in need were you able to help? Just an estimate. Well, we're open 5 days a week. We serve around 500 meals divided in those 5 days. And we're only open 18 hours if we put it down. And it's really a neat scene because no one's asking any questions. If you show up, you get fed. And we take everybody in, everybody. And mostly it's people from our neighborhood. I'd say a third of them are folks who are living down on the rivers and stuff, because we're a great place. When you don't have a house, you can come to our place, take a shower, go to the bathroom, get some food, get clothes, that sort of stuff. It's a great place. I recommend coming and checking us out. And we do try to help people, but what we tell people is that we're not helping as much as we're offering hospitality. Big issue in the New Testament. Most of Jesus' work done in the midst of hospitality. The upper room was a moment of someone was giving them hospitality. So it's happening all the time. Hospitality is human space. And there are only two types of people who matter in the world of hospitality. There are the guest, and there are the host. And when you're doing hospitality, you are the host. And in our way of looking at things, we're right like a block away from Bethel Mission, and they're right out open. They want to bring Jesus to the people who come here. And that's in the Bible. And there's some way of, that makes sense. We don't want to bring Jesus to people when they come to us. We look at a different part of the Bible where Jesus talks about the works of mercy. And whenever you serve the least, you serve me. So we're not out to give Jesus to the people we serve. In our hospitality, we're out serving Jesus. Do you get the subtle difference? We're not trying to fix anybody. We're just trying to create some space where Jesus can come and find peace. And Jesus is always the most troubled, crazy person who comes to us. And there are times when I've had to kick Jesus out of our house. Not on their meds. Crazy on drugs. Having a bad day. And we try to do it as nicely as we can. But we're always aware that it's Christ that we're picking up. A whole different way of looking at things. All right, another question. All right. Eloise, 25-year-old female. Why did you start protesting against the World Food Prize? Oh, that's cool. We started protesting against the World Food Prize after the Occupy movement, Wall Street movement. We called it Occupy the World Food Prize. We saw in the World Food Prize corporate agriculture putting on a show so that the world would mimic what we do in Iowa. Because our people who grow food here, business-wise, think we're the greatest thing on earth. And that without us, we couldn't feed the billions of people on the planet. And that's how they present it. That's the same crowd. Did I tell you about soil? Back in the 50s, get big, get out of the business. That's when they forced what we had. After World War II, could you just imagine if we kept intact that family farm crowd? That crowd, group of people where every 300 acres there was a farm, cows, pigs, chickens. We would be sitting in a kind of an ideal structure right now to move on and save the planet and feed people. But no, we completely collapsed to the oil-based, capital-based crowd. And this is a very important Bible story you need to know as Iowans, because this is our sin. Our sin in Iowa, my generation's sin in Iowa, is what I call the Joseph sin. You know Joseph, the guy with the many strange coat, the Jewish kid, the kid who had trouble with his brothers, they didn't like him, so they sold him into slavery down in Egypt. He had a hard time there, but he had some great kind of divine insights, could read dreams. Finally got to the Pharaoh, helped him read a really difficult dream. The dream was 7 good years, 7 bad years. And the Pharaoh says, God, Joseph, you're so smart. What should we do? Well, this is what you do. With the 7 good years, you get all the grain you can get. Put them in your storage. And then when the 7 bad years come, then you can get the farmers to sell you their livestock. Sell you their land so they can eat. And after those 7 years, you'll have everybody fed, and everybody will be your slave. That's the Pharaoh or Joseph thing. In the next story in the Bible, after they become slaves, what do they need? Bible literacy here. They're stuck in Egypt. What did the people look for as slaves in Egypt? Let my people go. Moses. All right. Sorry. All right. Too much. Go ahead. All right. Joey Breivik. Sorry. All right. How do you feel about Iowa's water management? I feel terrible. I've been singing the alarm. We're killing ourselves. We're destroying the planet, and we have a big part in it. How do I feel about it? Bad. Okay. That was easy. All right. All right. A 28-year-old American male from Northwest Alaska. All right. What do you think about the police officer? Police brutality. I think that's a real problem. Big problem. We got problems with guns in this country. And the problem is, we don't look at the big guns to begin with. If you don't think the big guns lead to little guns, you don't know what the race is all about. So it's the big guns that are the problem. And the police, they have license to kill. They do. Yeah. I just want you to know something. Nowhere in the New Testament does Jesus give anybody license to kill. And there's an overstatement here. In the narrative, the hero, Jesus, how does he die? On a cross. By the people who had license to kill. How Christians can be pro-executions is just really one of those crazy things that need to be spoken about, because it isn't Christ-like to take a life. And his life was taken by the people who had license to kill. Yeah.
You're making the blatant statement of it's not Christian to kill.
Yes.
Self-defense and guns used for self-defense. And also you made this blatant statement that large guns are the reason, or the biggest threat. Am I correct on that?
Correct.
Yeah. So majority of homicides in the United States come from handguns, not large guns. So why would you say that it is unchristian to kill whenever self-defense is still thrown into that?
Where does Jesus give? Where is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? Did Paul? Give me the verses, baby, because if you can't tell me where it is in the New Testament that you have a right to kill somebody in self-defense, I will gladly concede. Because as I've been telling you in all honesty, I'm a New Testament focused crazy nut. I'm not going to let go of it.
I'm just asking you.
And I'm just trying to tell you, this is how I read the text.
Yeah.
And I haven't heard anybody come up with a valid text in the New Testament that legitimizes self-defense killing.
I'm just asking where it says in the Bible that you can't do self-defense, that you can't defend yourself.
Slaps you on the cheek, give you the other one. Yeah.
You lay down your life for the other. You make yourself vulnerable. The image that they give of Jesus is the suffering servant. This is a guy who's not only doing, this isn't about self-defense. The suffering servant jumps in the mist and gets in the face of the authorities and says, stop killing people.
But didn't God also rain down war on people that weren't following his name and rain down?
Perfect. This is very, very important. Because you know what? In what they call the Old Testament, there is a killing God. There is. So like